best face on. Oh.
She's like just below it. Oh, bless her. Right. And here we are. Welcome to another episode of the WPD Podcast. It's the usual crew, and we've got an extra guest today, Mr. Tom Haynes. And he's here just to answer a little bit sort of a Q&A and just give us an insight onto his opinion in women's physique division and sort of how we think we can push that division a little bit more. So, Mr. Tom, so tell us a bit about yourself and your sort of backstory and how you got into coaching and things like that.
Right, so hello. I got into coaching. Oh God, this is. I do every time I go on a podcast. I always start with this, and I don't change it up every time, but I go about it in a different angle every time. I really need like a script for this. To be fair. I started when I started competing in bodybuilding at 18. I competed in NABBA as a natural bodybuilder when I was a junior. I was bloody stupid. I looked like a fucking idiot on stage. And then I took 2 years out, came back, did it again, managed to win it, then competed a couple more times as a junior after that, and once as a super heavyweight, fuck knows why. And then leading on from there, just did, shows and stuff, as any bodybuilder would do. I did okay. Yeah. I wasn't anything good. I got a couple of dead lasts, but I also got a couple of wins, so it sort of evened out. But then I moved from sort of focusing on my own competing and just I started looking after a few people here and there, a few guys from the gym, a few of the younger lads who just couldn't afford like a higher end coach and wanted someone to oversee them. And I knew my stuff about bodybuilding, and I really was obsessive about like my knowledge on it and just trying to learn more and more and more about everything from nutrition, supplementation, training, every minutiae detail, PEDs, the lot. And I just tried to just cover absolutely everything with it. And then and that did help, because when I was prepping people, I could sort of pick apart like a prep a bit and understand why we would need to do certain things at certain times. So we went from there, and I went to my coach, my first ever client for a show.
Was that Sam Molpass?
Yeah. Sam Molpass. Yeah. So he did a junior class and a under 80s class or something, and he won both of them, which was cool. And then we went through to the overall, and he got obviously the guy in the overall was like a freak. And then I started helping a couple of other guys. And yourself, actually, Sara. I helped.
Yeah, that was way back in Legends Day, wasn't it?
Legends Gym back in Worcester, and then obviously helped a couple of other people from there. Just like people who wanted to get in shape for their own sort of thing. Here's the worst one. I spent 18 weeks prepping this guy for a show. Right, it would have been my second client on stage, and he pulled out 2 days out.
Oh, why?
2 days out from the show, he was like, "No, my life's just a mess at the moment. I've got too much going on," and blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, but you're 2 days out, bro. You brought the trunks, you paid for the time, you booked the hotel. Like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, no, I don't want to do it.
For 2 more days at least.
I know. Even if he had got on stage like soft, I would have been like,
yeah.
But so that was funny looking back at it. But then obviously from there, just helped a few guys, and obviously looked after Chris Gregg from Legends, who's a good men's physique competitor. Yeah. He did like a UKUP, like a fitnessy fed show. Yeah. Walked through that, like smashed everyone there. Went through, won the overall, and then we had, that was cool. And then I took on a few other guys here and there for bits and little preps and stuff, like Chris Swan and all those. Just worked with, some bigger guys, like some heavyweight bodybuilders and men like tall class bodybuilders. And then it was yourself, I think, after that. And then I helped you.
Yeah,
get ready.
I think we were quite on and off for a few years. Obviously, when you were at Legends.
Because we worked for a bit. We were going to do like one of the natty shows, weren't we?
Yeah, when I was at university.
Mate, can you imagine if you'd done that? You would have fucking walked.
I found those pictures the other day actually, and I was like, Jesus. Like,
you as a natural competitor you would have absolutely walked through that thing. Like British champion, like go to the world sort of thing, like Peter. But like,
this was like 2016. It was first year of university, so it was like 15, 16.
And then you took some time out. Then you came back 2019.
No, it was beginning of 18.
18,
because we were going to do the natty show, weren't we? And then I jumped into powerlifting, and that's when we got down to about, because I think my weight class was 60 kilos. We got down 60 kilos. Then I was like, I don't want to do bodybuilding guy anymore. So
yeah.
I stepped back, did powerlifting, and then I came back to you in 2018, and that's just
Yeah, you did powerlifting for a bit. You're getting beaten up too much, weren't you? And then you came back, and then we started. Then we were like, you were like, I just haven't really been doing much at the moment, like training. And I was like, do you want to just get in shape? Just try and get in shape. Like, it was like 6 weeks of dieting. I'm like, you should just do this show.
Yeah.
And like, you just should do it. And then we went for the London, and the rest is sort of history from there, isn't it? You won the overall.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Sara at that show. And
Did you do that?
Yes. I tanked. I didn't know I needed a routine. My posing was shocking. I literally had decided to be a bodybuilder 12 weeks beforehand. And like my upper was like overcooked chicken and my lower was kind of a little bit watery. But I remember seeing Sara being like, I want to look like her.
That was crazy. The feedback you got from that was ridiculous. The women in the like the people in the crowd, that was something else, wasn't it? Because you remember Ryan Alexander? How old were you then?
I'm 25 now, so what was that, 4 or 5 years ago?
I feel so old.
22. Were you 21? Were you 21?
Yes, I would have been, yeah.
Yeah, because they announced it on the thing, and it's like a fantastic competitor at only 21 years old, and the entire crowd was like,
He's done it.
so that was funny.
Double.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, yeah, you guys do that.
But I saw Sara at that show as well, because I competed at the British in athletic figure. I looked like a bag of shit. But I remember seeing Sara backstage, and I was like, Jesus Christ. Like,
yeah, I had Molly compete in that one. Then.
Yeah, and Steve.
Yeah, Molly
and Steve was in it too. No, I wasn't prepping Steve. Then Steve had gone and left. Steve had left and started doing his own thing. But yeah, because were you in Molly's class?
I was, yeah, I was in Molly. I had a high ponytail and a black and red bikini.
Oh, okay. I don't remember you. Sorry.
I wasn't very memorable. I can tell you that. I act like shit.
I didn't realise.
I only remember Molly in it because obviously I was training for her, and then I remember the girl who won was the posing instructor. Michaela, that's it. So yeah, Kayla, that's it. Excuse me. She walked out, and it was like, yep, she's won. Like no one else is even close to that. Like no one is close to that.
Yeah, she was in good shape.
I didn't realise there was a difference between bikinis and figure bikinis.
Oh, you did a Caitlin. You did a Caitlin Hill.
I bought a bikini and I had to tie it to my bottoms.
Oh, right. Whatever it takes, right?
So clueless.
Yeah. Nah. Okay, so obviously, and when did you jump on board with Tom?
Oh, it's October, wasn't it? No. Yes, because I said to you I wanted to start with you, but I wasn't in like that. I didn't want to like mess you around, did I?
Because you spoke to me at a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you came and spoke to me, didn't you? And you said like, oh, like I want to do this and I want to do these shows and whatever. And I was like, oh, it's cool, like we'll do that. And then I didn't hear from you for a bit. Mm-hmm. And you know when clients do that, like, and they're like, oh, I want to do this, and then you don't hear. I was like, oh, never mind. But then you're like, no, I actually am serious. Like, I'm ready now. And I was like, oh, let's do it then. So we did we did a good off season, put some muscle on you for sure.
Yeah, I just didn't want to mess around. Like, you know, when people do that, and I just wanted to get like 100%. And like coming off my show from last year, I was kind of out of it a little bit. I was kind of like, I don't know, I just didn't feel. I think maybe it must have been hormonal imbalance or something like that. But I just felt crappy. Yeah. And I felt like, oh, you know, maybe I'm not meant to be doing this. And then obviously I got my shit together and I was like, actually, no, I am. Tom helped me. And then Tom's helped me.
Yeah, then we did that. And I started working with you, Romana.
At the same time.
Yeah, maybe like a month after or something.
It was, I think my first check-in with you was like the 31st of October. Don't know why it sticks out in my mind, because the rest of that time, like the 6 weeks, the 2 weeks before we actually checked in, but we were just talking, and then the month after.
Oh yeah, because I remember now. Yeah, we spoke about like what you were going to do, sort of going forward.
Yeah, that was
and then I think after like a couple of check-ins, I'm like, yeah, we're doing physique. Like, yeah, we're doing.
It was that first call. It was the first call you said to me, and it was something I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
But then you said it before I brought it up. Wasn't it? Have you ever thought about doing physique? I was like, yes, I want to do physique. Get rid of the heels.
Yeah, but like I think that's one thing that, like, going back to the coaching thing, I think I'm more known now for like bigger girls and bigger guys. Like that's definitely where my market is going. Like off the top of my head now, so like the bigger girls that I train, just like I'm talking like IFBB figure or physique, right, or train figure sort of thing with PCA. Off the top of my head now, so there's Michelle, there's you, Deb, and Romana, obviously Sara, and then there's Kitty, and then there's there's Michelle, Deb, Sara, Kitty, and then there's obviously Caitlin. And then there's Lauren, and then there's
Lauren's looking badass at the moment.
Yeah, Lauren's really good. People go and sleep on her until she gets like because we had a hard one last time we competed. Like she came to me and she was like, "Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. Here's what I'm doing at the moment, and I need to get in shape in this amount of time." And I was like, I apologize for what will now follow. Because I was like, this is going to suck. And every check-in, I was like, I'm sorry, but you'll eat less.
I'm so sorry.
I was like, every check-in, it was like, we're just taking away more and more and more. I'm like, can you do more steps? Can you eat less? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, cool, do less. Like, just dug her into the ground.
It's a bit like Shelley. She's like, just when she comes out of where she is, she's just going to be unbelievable because people don't expect it.
Yeah, that's it. Like Shell in off season, not super impressive. Yeah. Shell now, everyone's like,
who's this girl? Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Who is this?
Yeah, she looks amazing.
Yeah.
So how have you come to the point where you're coaching bigger girls and bigger guys? Was that just a preference that you wanted to have like an end goal to be able to coach bigger people, or have you just kind of landed in?
I've always sort of liked that more, but I think I'm much more understanding of it than not all coaches, but a lot of other coaches. Yeah. Like I get why women would want to look like that and why they want to do it. A lot of guys are like, oh, it's too much. It's like, well, it's their choice, it's their decision. Yeah. They decide that they want to look like that. Personally as a man, it's not something I look at and would find attractive, but I also respect it massively.
Yeah.
Like I look at that and go, that is absolutely cool. The fact that they are able to go against a stereotype and push to it, especially with the way how saturated the whole like the bodybuilding scene is at the moment. Within it, the abundance of bikini competitors, it's quite easy to get into bikini. You only need to train for a year or so with relatively good genetics, and you're pretty much good to go, right? As long as you commit to it, maybe a year and a half, right? But with things like toned figure, like even that takes very high level genetics and a good level of work for a couple of years, or average genetics and 4, 5, 6 years worth of work. And then physique is like, okay, well, you either need to have ridiculously good genetics and shit tons of work going in towards it, or you need to be, if you're average, it's like, okay, are you ready for the hardest bodybuilding journey that there is? And I really respect that because it's difficult to do. There's the stigma behind it in terms of drug usage and masculinity and being pushed is obviously something that can now be avoided with the knowledge that we have these days. Yeah. So girls who go, I'd love to look like that, but I just don't want to have the virilization. I don't want to have the problems. I don't have the issues. Well, there's ways to go around that now. So for me as a coach, the fact that I can bring that to light with competitors and explain that these are paths that you can follow that sets you into a motion of, not having to worry about these things later down the line, or less worry of it because again it is bodybuilding. There is dark paths and stuff. It's nice and I respect it a lot more. I think that's why I lean towards
I mean, do you think that because people have a lack of knowledge around what goes on in the bigger categories is why people aren't interested in them?
Oh yeah, straight away. Or the misinformation that's given. And don't get me wrong, okay, so let's just be very, very straight up here for everyone listening. When you look at women's physique competitors who've they've trashed themselves, right? Yeah. They're having to wear a wig on stage. Their jawline is something that, Jay Leno would be, like, he'd be like, that's a bit much.
Yeah.
It's like an anthem, right? So when they get to that level, it's because they've been given misinformation by either a coach, a trainer, or someone around them who's essentially fast-tracked them to that point. Will it work? Yeah, of course it fucking will. Yeah. Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind that if I acted that way as a coach, that irresponsibly, all three of you would be on the Olympia stage.
Yeah.
All three of you within the next 2 years. But you would not look like women anymore, and you would not be able to compete. You would not be able to be competitive after that. You'd be it all be over.
Yeah. It'd be it. It's longevity, isn't it?
I could do that. I could go, right, look, you're all going to start fucking smashing this and this and this and this and this. But you will not look like women when you're done. and you will not have quality of life when you're done. And I can't have that on my conscience, but I also understand that you have to play a balancing act.
Do you think where that has kind of been done before is another factor as to why, you know, we had it with women's bodybuilding, that kind of died a death for a while.
He got fucking took away.
Sorry?
Yeah. He got took away. Yeah.
And I wonder if, like, because that was the next best thing was Physique, and that push with the drugs has kind of put a lot, like you say, put a lot of people off because they're looking at stage going, ugh.
Yeah, they look at the Physique here and they go, wow, and then they look here and they go, okay.
But then I think there's also a lot of, unfortunately, people precipitating to that bad press. There's, you know, there are podcasts out there that kind of almost mock women like us for looking bigger and actively voice how they find it unattractive. And
it's fine. They're more than welcome to find it unattractive. It doesn't stop it changing anything.
I think also something that people forget is, as women who know what goes on behind closed doors in the sport, when you commit to using anabolics or PEDs, you understand the risks that might appear. You know, like we might be we are more susceptible there to getting visualization, to having, you know, some side effects from anabolics. But like, we know those risks. So women who don't know the risks that, you know, they might get from steroids, it's just, you know, if you want to do steroids, you want to do steroids. If you don't, you don't. But when you ultimately decide that you will, you know the risks, you know, like
there's problems. Yeah, or at least you should do.
Exactly. You know,
but the problem is, I think one of the misconceptions that we get here is, I heard a comment the other day, and I just bit my tongue because I was like, I'm doing my best to have like John Meadows moments all the time now. Like, what would John Meadows do in this situation? Yeah. And he would just ignore it and just move on and leave them to get on with this thing. I'm trying my best, really hard. Like, it's getting hard now, but. Like someone saying, "Oh, I've never seen a girl get a virilization or any issues from Anavar," and I was like, "Okay, cool." I was like holding biting my tongue, like.
You talk about my bloods.
Do you? Yeah, like. Do you know how androgens work? Are you sure? Like, really?
Yeah, that's it.
And you know, and like, you know, really long usage of it as well, and expecting that to be safe compared to short-term usage of something that either aromatizes or something, you know, a different compound in general, you know, and compare and saying, oh, they're two totally different things. And I'm like, well, exposure to small amounts for a long period of time equals pretty much the same sort of thing as exposure to, you know, high amounts for a very short period of time. It's the same thing, and you wouldn't look at a 6-week cycle going into a show and see 50 milligrams of Anavar and think it was cool. So why are you thinking that 24 weeks on Anavar is cool? Like, it's 5 mgs or 10 mgs a day, right? They're very similar sort of aspects of things. It's a graph, isn't it? It's a time versus dosage graph, and you have to work out where you put yourself on that.
It's super common though, isn't it? I mean, I'll have girls come up to me at the gym, like they're really young, like 18, 19, like they possibly want to do bikini, and they're like, yeah, like my friend's giving me Anavar and I'm on like 20 mgs a day, and I'm like, you've not even been in the gym 6 months, and like doing a category doesn't really require you to do that, and it's just like. It's just dumbfounded, isn't it? Like, it's nuts. It's nuts. And I know,
you know, people put more in when more is never necessarily the best way to go about it. You know,
you have to make progressions over time, but the progressions are not lurches, are they?
Yeah,
I had just before I came to do this, leaving the gym, had one of my mates come up to me. Her coach wants her. She's a bikini athlete. Wants her on primo, which was a bit.
How much a week?
I don't know. We hadn't got that far. Okay. She was just like, what do you think? Right. I was like, I don't really know, but...
Probably do. If you're going to do it, then let's just pray to God it's a very small amount of it, right? Like, you know, it's just start... You know, when you any compound women can use, it's a dose-dependent thing, isn't it, right? But it's also a consideration of, do you really need it? Like, do you really? Like,
it's weighing up how much you're going to get out of it, really.
There's a level of sort of strategy, isn't there? Yeah. Anyway, have we got any other questions? What other questions?
So, going forward, do you think that social media has had an impact on women's physique? So, obviously, nowadays, bit of.
Well, I think so. I think so. In a good way. Would you guys say that it has in a good way? I think there's dualities to it, isn't there? I mean, look at DLB, right? Like she was the mustard for it, wasn't it? Yeah. She was just there, and everyone looked at that like, that is cool.
Yeah.
Like she's still feminine. She's got a great little personality. She's full of energy. She's this bubbly character, and she's just able to, and she looks sick. Right? She looks absolutely sick. Yeah. And then there's a lot of other women now these days who are coming out, especially in the sort of good bits of the pro ranks that you're seeing, that have just got these incredible physiques that are really draw a lot of, it's not going to draw every girl in, because a lot of girls want to look like bikini competitors, right? With tiny wasp waists and stuff. But like when you look at that, sorry,
wasp waist, did you say? Just
just
tickled me.
Yeah. So they, and I think it's definitely done it some good, because you can't miss it when it's constantly tagged into bodybuilding things as well. Yeah. Yes, it's nowhere near as popular as figure, like with IFBB, because a lot of girls, like, they would look at people like Rhea and go, oh my God, that is goals. Whereas they're not going to look at, okay, so for example, actually, do you know what, Sara? They're not going to look at you and go, oh my God, that is goals. Yeah. Not all of them. A lot of girls will, right? A lot of girls will. But they're more likely to like the slightly smaller sort of look, because that's just a general preference of sort of people.
Yeah.
But I still think that people look at your physique and go, that is fucking cool. And then you will get a percentage of that go, actually, I would really like to look like that. Yeah. How can I go about it? So I think that, especially after the British, when you did that.
Oh, thank you. I just thought it'd be fun to do.
Yeah. Just thought it'd be fun to take all of your skin off completely.
Walk on as a human anatomy chart, like.
Yeah, turn around, pop your glute pose, and everyone just go, what? She's the most conditioned person here. Like, the blokes look fat.
That was a good day.
It's like Johnny Mack's like striated glutes up the fucking wazoo. He's peeled out of his mind. Ross is like separated, and you're like, yeah, I did that last week.
Yeah, you could, but you could do with another couple of weeks.
Romana, you get in crazy shape too. I've seen you get really good, Nick, as well. And Deb will.
Deb hasn't, but Deb will. I'll try.
Deb will. Yeah, I'll bloody make sure she does. Like, if she's on the next podcast, she's going to be on the Stairmaster whilst she's.
Yeah, I've already been and done that. I'm already over like 12,000.
Oh no, yeah. You don't know the meaning of the word yet.
I do feel sorry for Deb. I left her a voice message this morning, kind of going, "Yeah, Tom's up my food."
I don't care. Like, honestly, like. So yesterday was my first carbless day, right? And I didn't even want to eat the food that I had on the lunch. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm like, I'm not hungry.
Really?
No, not at all. I'm not hungry. I'm like, I flag a bit, but honestly, I'm just too focused on getting lean.
Do you know what it is? It's when you're lean as anything, right? When you're down to that point, when we start like reintroducing food, like carbs, that's when it hits you like a train. Like Caitlin said that as well. She was like, like 800 calories a day, 900 calories a day, like skinning it off me, like 20,000 steps, no concern in the world. Just suck it up, buttercup, get on with it. Start putting me back up to 1,200 calories with some carbs in. And she was like, I felt like I was going to die.
Yeah, I almost don't want it. Every time I check in, I'm like excited for you to give me more cardio steps or take food. But the day you're like, right, Deb, when you gave me that 550 gram carb refeed, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I've got to eat, god damn it.
So I'm looking forward to the carb up process, because I've never really been carbed up. I've had to like some...
You don't really push it. How high did you go for your last one?
Well, as in...
If I feel carb up for your last pro show, like how much did you do over a couple of days?
Wasn't it a cookie or something?
No, that was off plan. That was backstage before my pro card win. It was just like maybe 500 grams of cream of rice every meal. Not 500. 50, sorry, 50.
I'm going to do shit.
Something like that. 50 or 90.
This is my bucket of food.
I've just put my face in a...
It's like a horse in the back.
It wasn't... I was talking to Sara about your peak week protocols and things like that, and it sounds very, very different to what I've done.
How much was yours, Sara?
What, my carb up?
The biggest one, 1,600.
I think it was 1,600, yeah. Yeah, because we did the fat load over 2 days, wasn't it? The carb load.
Yeah, 1,000, and then it was 700.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then obviously we did the fat load for 3 days, and then which worked very well. I think you'd get on with that, Romana. It's a brilliant process. It seemed to work very well. and then we went into carb up in it. Oh my god!
I think I remember.
No, I can't take credit for that. Dr. Scott Stevenson.
Yeah,
I think I remember seeing you doing your fat loading, Sarah, because I was watching all your stories. Because I've been following you for ages, and you were eating all this dark chocolate. I was like, you lucky bitch.
I don't remember really watching you, but then I think it was the same weekend. I think you won your pro card because I remember driving back from the airport just screaming at you down the phone.
Yeah, because we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? Yeah.
Voice messaging back and forth.
Yeah. Just like, Just like,
Did you guys do a Q&A thingy on the story?
oh,
Yeah,
yes.
We did. And Tom, you asked the question, actually.
Oh, yeah. So, Sarah, have you got this one?
I think Deb's was the one that, we would have had all access to it, to be fair.
There was only 2 questions when I looked just now. And it was something about Leet, but I can't remember what it was.
Leet. It was just Leet, please.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Leet, please.
Oh, here we
You're
go.
going to burst in from behind you, Sarah.
No. It's a running joke. So I play when I play Xbox, I go on with Sarah's girlfriend Lita and my buddy Kyle. And Lita was really lagging one game, like really just not doing very well. And she was she kept dying or whatever it was. And Kyle's hilarious, and he just went Leet. Please. Like this. And now it's like a running joke. Like whenever she does anything like slightly off, it's like Leet.
It was like she did my check-in the other day, and my photos are slightly off, and Tom was just like, Leet, please, because Leet takes all my pictures.
Sorry, silly running joke. Carry on. Yeah, were they any questions, or was it just a bunch of schmoes and muscle worshippers in there trying to?
Much of worse,
There's one question. There's a question. So it says, best advice for staying lean when on a growing phase.
No, you can't.
Who was that? Who asked that one?
Don't name it.
Name and shame. No, joking.
It was Romana.
See, I told you, they bully me all the time.
So, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, is it? It's not. Why would you want to do that? You're trying to grow. You're trying to maximise your performance in the gym. You're trying to maximise your ability to lift weights that are, above and beyond what you've done before. You're trying to progress to a point in muscularity. You are going to require a caloric surplus, and therefore that caloric surplus will be required over a longer period of time, and therefore you probably will accumulate some body fat. If you don't want to grow, stay lean year round all you like. You might put on a pound if you're really, 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 really lucky over the year. Or you could suck it up, buttercup, and get 5, 6, 7 on you over the space of a year.
But I want abs all year round. I want abs all year round, and I also want to make monstrous gains.
And you want to, that's fine. But unfortunately, you're not Ronnie Coleman, so
I think
it's not going to happen.
I'm definitely leaner working with you, Tom, than I was last off season, and I've surpassed the weight. And I think we've sort of chatted about that.
Yeah, but we did do a little bit of a tidy up recon, didn't we?
Yeah, but I think a lot of it for me, it's the food sources you've got me on are so much cleaner than I've had before. Like there's no bagels, there's no Cocoa Pops, and it seems to work.
I do use that with people. There are people listening in, like, I'm not hiring Tom if he doesn't give me Cocoa Pops. Like,
you get an iceberg lettuce, and that's it. That's all you have.
But then I think I said to you, I'm quite happy with that because I've got such a sweet tooth. If I have one bagel, I want all of the bagels. Go full retard and just eat a whole packet of bagel thins.
Yeah, just get a check-in. It's like, hi, Tom, I'm 217 pounds.
100.
But there's obviously a difference with that. Just tapping on that, like being lean and not getting like ridiculously fat as well, right? Because that's going to inhibit growth and things, right?
Yeah. Do you know what I've noticed as well? And here's a little pat on the back for all of you. Women's physique competitors and the bigger figure girls, the ones that do well, are able to understand in an off season that you're not. That's just part and parcel of it. None of you really, if you're getting a little bit too far gone in terms of body fat and it is actually uncomfortable, you don't really complain about it. You're not like, oh,
well, not to you anyway.
But you know it's for a purpose. Whereas like if it's a bikini competitor, they're doing it because they like that look on stage. They like to be in a reasonably good shape most of the year. all of that sort of stuff. It's usually a trend that you find, certainly with like sort of beginner competitors, right?
Why do you think that is?
I think, do you know what it is? Like,
for the gram.
And do you know here's another point as well, Sara, to be fair. You find the bad relationships with food with the bikini competitors far more frequently, whereas women's figure and like women's physique, you guys are more sort of like, just get on with it. Like, just, there's much less of it. There's much less of the binge eating and much less of the, when people do like your diet hack shit because you're so desperate to have like a 0-calorie jelly or something.
It's like all those 0-calorie syrups and shit, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah, like people can use them if they want to use them. It's up to you. But like, I think it's a psychological thing. Like, women's physique competitors and bigger figure girls, certainly the more competitive ones, are usually further away from those sort of disorders and things like that, because it's very much just more of just a different mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely made me more aware of food, but if I need to eat something, I'll just eat it. Like, if you told me to eat, like, same with prep, like, if you told me to eat gravel, I'd just eat gravel. Do you know what I mean? Like, same with off-season. If you told me to eat a tub of gravel, I'd eat a tub of gravel. You know what I mean? Like, but
just get on with it.
Yeah, but
I think
the worst. Sorry?
It's pity April Fool's Day's been and gone.
Sara, one tub of gravel.
It's like meal 1, 7 cigarettes.
I'll just send you a video and be like, smoking all these cigarettes.
Do you know what I think? But I think I am being a bit cruel to bikini competitors there in some way, saying like, oh, they're all like, obviously, like, not all of them. A lot of them will have some sort of previous relationship with food that are crap, and bodybuilding has sort of saved them from it, which is good for sure. That's definitely better than just not eating.
Yeah.
Or not eating then binge eating. But I think the worst, and I mean this when I say it, the worst culprits for eating issues, bad relationships with food, are old school masters men's bodybuilders.
Really?
Right? And the reason why is because they have been brought up on a culture of grind yourself to oblivion and cheat meal at the weekend. And they cannot shake it mentally. They cannot do it. You say, we won't be doing cheat meals on prep, mate. Like, we'll do them when we're needed. No, I always have a burger. I need it. I have to have a burger. I have to have a cheat. I have a big refeed. And it's like, you're not having a refeed, mate. It's
a bit like the Chad Nichols way, isn't it? He tends to do that.
Not just that, but like any sort of old school. It's like, oh yeah, well, we just smash it on the week and then eat crap at the weekends, and it's like
you aren't doing all the work.
Okay,
done in the week as well. If you just go,
sorry,
if you're like, when people do that, they'll have like not even just a meal either. They'll have a cheat day, and they basically just put themselves back in the caloric plus that they had at the. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And they put it on body fat. They gain body fat in that short space of time. Then they take the body fat off again in that week. That is not good for you.
I've been coached like that.
But I know this because I used to be like this because I was brought up on this method back when in Legends Gym, because everyone used to do that. They used to eat like keto, and it wasn't even keto because there was no fucking fat. It's protein and vegetables. And you would do that all the way through until your Sunday, and then you would have your meal off. But everyone was like, "Oh, well, you start if you eat at 7, you finish at about sort of 11 o'clock at night." And I would eat so fucking much, I would be like struggling to breathe. It was a terrible method of diet. It was terrible, and the problem is that all you do all week is think about your cheat meal at the end of the week. You don't even, if you know you're not getting one and you don't have them in your plan, you stop thinking about them after a while. But masters men's bodybuilders or old school men's bodybuilders who always do these refeeds, they struggle so much on dieting. Oh, well, I went out and I had this with the missus and this, and then I had pizza and this, but I look better for it. I'm like, you fucking don't. You look like shit, mate. Like, you're kidding yourself.
I think some physiques actually look better, like from personal experience. I think I look better without them. I mean, we did a few here and there, but it wasn't like, go out.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I'm not saying that things like that are absent on all preps, because we did start putting them in, didn't we, at the end, right? Like a burger and fries sort of thing. But that was because, one, you're stressing and you needed some sort of social time with leaks where you could just chill out and relax, because that was quite a stressful prep for you, very stressful. And then and then your body weight was you were rinsing through weight. You were losing tissue at that point. Therefore, we needed some sort of caloric splurge to simply put body fat back on you, so that we could then take that back off. Because if we didn't, your body is just going to start digging away at tissue. And realistically, looking back at it now, I reckon we could have just got back on the normal diet and done a burger and fries every 2 to 3 days.
I reckon so, yeah.
I think that would have made you look a bit better, because you would have just put that weight back on and then it would have been taken off. But that works when you're in shape.
Yeah, that's it.
At the start of a prep, you do not fucking need to start eating shit once a week. You are not in that mind. You're not there.
Just find it like utterly screws with my digestion. Like, I feel bloated and horrible the next day, and like dry from all the salt and
in your tongue as well. Like when you go to sleep, your tongue feels fucking weird, doesn't it? You're like,
Flaggy, what a word! That's so good.
At the start of my competing career, as such, like I was coached just like that. So, you know, from week 1 right the way through, it would be like Saturday or Sunday would be like you get a cheat meal, and it like I didn't really feel like I needed it. But you're right, like my mindset then sort of turned into like, I can't wait for Saturday or Sunday because I know I'm going to get my meal. Whereas now, I honestly just don't care. Like, that's not even like a bit of food is not even in like the midst of what I want. Like,
and this is the thing, this is it, isn't it? Once you've been away from it for so long, and it actually starts it's not the thought of it would be bad, because as soon as you sat down and you had a few bites, you're like, oh shit, this is actually really nice. But it's more like, it's like you don't crave it because you think, actually, that would be, you think about it, oh, it's nice for 2 seconds, and then it tastes like greasy shit, and you just want to go back. You want to go back to your chicken in your eyes, right?
Yeah.
You know?
It's almost like
I think that
your blood feels thicker. You're lying in bed and it's like your heart's
blood pressure's just through the roof, isn't it?
It's like
just like thick.
Right. Ladies, talk amongst yourself for 2 seconds. I'm desperate for the ladies.
Right.
Sorry.
It's all right. I had to sort Ruby out with a toy. She's
Has she got her Kong, is she?
Sorry?
Has she got her Kong?
She is all conged up, yes.
Sounds naughty.
She was being fidgety.
I don't know if you can see Romana with the dog prints in here, but I'm currently sat in my sister's groom room because they're doing works in here. It's way too loud. And I can feel like every time I move, I can feel like a dog hair like clinging to my face. I've got hay fever up here anyway, so I'm like.
I was worried because I kept muting myself when Tom was talking because they were mowing the grounds.
Mowing the grounds.
Sounds very grand, but I live in what used to be a mental health hospital.
Buzzing.
What do you mean used to?
I only got out on day release.
Classic.
I'm only allowed under supervision.
What Starbucks have you got, Debs?
What's that? I've got a
mocha full of cream, marshmallows.
No, it's just black coffee.
Oh, Tom, here you are. Oh dear.
Right.
Yes.
Go on then. What else have we got for me?
I've got one. So if someone, say, does want to move up from said bikini category to women's physique, how would you sort of...
Fuck me, that's a jump in it. I would. Well, okay. Well, there we go. That's what I do. I'd go. Let's look at building enough tissue so that within a year or so you can be, or year and a half, you can be competitive in tone figure with like PCA or something like that. Then let's look at doing either athletic or trained within a couple of more years after that. And then, maybe a year after that or so, start looking at physique. So a 5, maybe even 6, possibly even 7-year journey to that point would be the reality of the situation. If they have average level genetics, if they have fucking sick genetics, they're probably going to need a little bit more time. They're probably going to need a little less time, and it's going to come a lot easier to them.
So you'd encourage them to still do shows in that time?
Oh, yeah, because think about it. Like, when you bring them down into that level of conditioning, we're going to get a nice rebound out of it anyway. So we're going to be able to utilize that as a time. And they get time on stage to actually go through the process of it, practicing without just being caught turns, just actually throwing their arms up and stuff, and just getting into the habit of posing like that, learning how to, what poses look best for them. They're going to pick up all of that information. And obviously, toned figure posing compared to women's physique posing, or even figure posing in general with, like, say, PCA, obviously there's similar sort of poses that you could sort of, obviously, you're practicing as time goes on. So I would always say, if you've done bikini and stuff and you decide, I just want to be bigger, like, start with toned and work your way up over a very, slow and consistent gradual measure of time. Don't just lurch into it and start going, fuck it, give me all the shit, and just start pumping drugs into yourself in an attempt to fast track yourself there, because it is very, very possible to do that, but you will not be happy with what happens after that. You will have messed up your health and your well-being if you speed cut there. Like it's one of them, isn't it?
But that's like the thing at the minute, isn't it? You see a lot of competitors, both men and women, they're trying to, like I said, fast track it and just push everything to the limit to get those results like now. And it's obviously with the time as well, you build better quality tissue, right? And so, as opposed to just trying to...
and yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that tissue is stuff that's now not really going to fuck off if you take 6 months off training. It's not going to go, because, you ladies could also stop training for like 6 months, but you'd still look like bodybuilders. You just look like a gym rat bodybuilder rather than like a very competitive bodybuilder. Yeah. You could do that, and because that muscle isn't going to really go, because you spent so many years building it. But if it's drug-induced tissue and it's forced on like that, it will come off quite quickly. Yeah. I have there's no real sort of science behind that. Maybe it's due to like satellite cell like proliferation and stuff, like with muscle memory. But I'm not really sure on that one, to be fair.
I suppose lockdown was quite a good, I don't know, for me, it kind of taught me that actually not training for 4 days isn't going to mean I'm going to turn into like a shrunken daisy and just lose all.
What's that for, sorry?
So when the lockdowns hit, I mean, like I was quite lucky with the access I had to gyms, but it was in the first lockdown, it was only when I worked. So if I had like a week off, I was doing resistant band workouts like everybody else. But I was so paranoid I was going to lose all that tissue. It didn't happen.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. So the technical term for muscle memory is satellite cell proliferation. So it means that when you because what you guys have done, what bodybuilders have probably done through years and years of lifting, is like hyperplasia. So like duplicating muscle cells rather than like actual just like growing one. Because once if all you did was grow the muscle cell and then you did stop training for 6 months properly, you would go back to the original size that you were before you started lifting. But no one does. Like I noticed that even when I stopped training during lockdowns for a good stretch of time, I really could not be asked for a lot of it. I lost probably like maybe like 20 pounds or something like that, maybe 30 pounds or something. I went down to maybe like 260 or something. And I looked at myself with like a clear head, and I was like, realistically, I actually still look pretty muscular. Like I still fit in an XL shirt. Like I'm still a big human being. And again, translating that over to like, figure physique, whatever. And obviously with the question that Deb has, it's good to build that baseline and that stack of tissue, because it's not really going to go anywhere if you do, for whatever reason, have to take time off. But if someone was going to do it, I would definitely progress them through the classes. In terms of obviously food progressions, that's just always going to sort of go up and down as time goes on, isn't it, based on what they're doing? And in terms of PED progressions, I mean, that's a long topic, but obviously as little time on as possible. Most of that time spent on being for comp preps and using cycles at specific times when they are most needed, so rebounds out of mini cuts and things like that, because you're at your most sort of, it's going to be the best catalyst for tissue growth there. So that's why, unfortunately, women can't do that after a show. Well, they shouldn't do that after a show. Shouldn't just stay on shit after a show, because you're just going to you've been on for probably like 12 week, 10 week going towards a comp. You can't really just go, I'll do 6 or 8 more and I'll really take advantage of my rebound. It's like, you've been on enough, mate. So sort of, for anyone, it can definitely, you can burn out faster, can't you?
Yeah, for sure. And it's just having that knowledge of women and knowing what we as women can take without increasing the risks,
Right, that's it. And the thing is as well, like blokes have it lucky, I can take anything and I'll always look like a bloke. I'll always look like a bloke. Like I can take, obviously my hair's gone, but when if any man goes and takes a shit ton of Winstrol and Masteron and, DHT derived compounds like that, they're going to lose their hair if they're prone to it. Eventually it'll start, go. If they go bald, they still look like a bloke. They just look like a bald bloke, right? Yeah. But if it's a woman, it's a very, very different story. Right?
Why do you think certain coaches still put girls on these stupid cycles, stupid long cycles.
Because it works.
Like how?
Because it works.
Really?
Because it works. Because it will cut out the hard work that they have to do as a coach.
Yeah.
It's a cheat. It's a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
It's a way of getting. Because if you wanted to, you could just do that to any good female physique. Like okay, so let's use a client of mine as an example. Not that she would ever do it, nor would I ever do it to her. But Sanaya, right? Very good genetics, very good shape naturally. If Sanaya trusted me wholeheartedly with it, as a coach, which she does anyway, but if she trusted me, and I was a complete fucking arsehole with drugs, and I was like, we're going to do fucking Masteron and fucking MPP and fucking growth hormone and insulin, and we're going to do tests at fucking 100 mgs a week and all of this shit. I'm going to take 500 mgs a week, and we're going to do that for the next 4 months, 5 months. She would look like a fucking mutant by the time she was done about that. Her jaw would be the size of an anvil, but she'd be fucking jacked. And she could go into probably competing in figure with IFBB and smash it. Yeah. But I'm not going to do that. Yeah. I'm going to give her 2 more years or so to slowly build up on that level of development and get to that point. But coaches, to answer your question, Sara, coaches do that because it cheats the system and it will just get them there. And if a client follows it blindly enough, if you put a girl on a shit ton of T3 and a shit ton of anabolics and somewhat of a caloric deficit and a load of cardio, they're going to get lean. Yeah. And they're going to look pretty dry at the end of it. But is it the best way to do that? Is it the safest way to do that? No, it's fucking retarded.
I mean, with the up-and-coming, the fact that we can go and get our bloods done, the health markers and that, we're more, it's more obvious nowadays. A lot of people are doing it in a more healthier way, but I just can't get my head around why coaches still put clients at risk at that level.
Because I think a lot of it is due to maybe misinformation, but you're also sometimes, and the coach just being sort of a bit of a prat sometimes. Yeah. But you also have to take into consideration the client in themselves probably wants to push as well. Therefore, when they're given the green light to push, they take it with, it's not given with a pinch of salt. It's like they go, no, fuck that, and they just belt it, don't they?
Could the coach not be like, okay, you obviously ultimately it's down to the client, but say I said to you, look, I want to run 100 mgs of test every week for 16 weeks. I know the risks. What's your opinion?
No, I would say absolutely not. I'm not being part of that.
Yeah.
I'm not being part of someone
coach, doing would that. You just be like...
If any client was suggested that they want to do something really, really obscene like that, I would just say no, because it's just, I'm not in the business of doing that to women. It's not, it's not healthy. It's not a good thing to do. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that coach. It's not me. I would happily lose the placings and the clients and stuff. And all
be a safe
if that meant that I could still have that going to sleep at night and not being
there are
being able to sleep at night. Yeah.
I'd say there are prolific coaches out there, so obviously we won't name them, that are renowned for doing that to women and
they have a short they have a short life in the bodybuilding, don't they? How long do they last on that page? Everyone knows what we're talking about. How long do they last? They're posted for 3 months, 4 months, and then they're never seen again really after that. And it's well, why is that happening?
It's purely just result driven.
That's another thing.
Yeah, it's literally result driven. They're not seen I would say they're not seen as beings. They're seen as this is they'll almost chop the head off. Don't think of it as a person. It's got to look like this. And
how do I make this physique undefeatable?
Yeah. And I mean, they do come in condition, but again, and they look good to an extent, but at what cost? Because they're not going to, the longevity of it's not going to last, really, is it? They're going to be in and out within a year or so, and then they're done.
I would rather, get to that sort of, get to pro stages and all that sort of stuff, and be competitive as a pro, and do well there, twice or 3 times, than absolutely kill it for 3 years and then never be seen again.
Yeah.
I couldn't live with that myself, personally.
You've got to be obviously in women's physique and stuff, you've got to be realistic, especially if you want to compete as a pro and then go into the top ranks and stuff. But I know when I signed up with you, I said, right, I want to do this, but I want to do it like longevity. Don't I?
I want to do this, but not at the risk of
and I want to remain as feminine as possible, and that's a massive thing for all of us. So it's just that's why as well we wanted to bring you on here, just to sort of get you to sort of educate women to be you don't have to take these ridiculous stacks.
No, it's you don't have to go that route, and if you do decide that you're gonna. If you do decide that you can, sorry to mish with the dog. If you do decide that you are going to go down this route and you want to be a bigger competitor and a female competitor, the main thing that you're going to have to understand before you get into this is you need to have patience.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that patience, then it's not for you. And that's perfectly fine if it's not for you, but please don't shortcut your way there.
Yeah.
You know?
And then complain
Have you guys got any fun questions? Anything fun to finish on? Because I feel like this is quite a dark and serious topic.
We were going to do, what was it we were going to do? The 3 don't evers. Like,
Yeah, and bodybuilding.
yeah. I can't think of an example.
Maybe like
That sounds really dark as well.
What is
No,
that?
like
It could be like, don't
could be
eat at
fun.
McDonald's before you go on stage.
Oh, yeah. I've got some good
that.
ones. I've got my ones that I fucked up on. Okay, let's think of the worst things that I've done.
Sorry, I hope you can't hear
don't
Ruby
take-
making Ruby noises.
Is she gargling around? Is she?
Yeah,
Is she
Rubying about.
Rubying about. Yeah, Ralphie does that. We call him Binkying about because he like licks the floor outside as he's doing it now.
She's
Like,
chewing
he's
up
just-
the.
I don't know why he's doing it, but he just does it. Yeah.
licks the floor.
he sounds special.
He's doing it now. I'm watching him do it.
She's very upset. She's yet to have a physique critique like Johnny's friend she
okay.
did.
I remember about that. So there was some of the stupidest things I've seen some silly things as well, which are fun. One of the dudes that I went up against, the PCA Muscle Talk show, I won the show, right? It's only me and this one guy in it. And it's juniors, and he literally ate, the Morrison's cookies.
Yeah.
He ate 5 of them backstage whilst he was pumping up, back to back without stopping. You could not have picked the worst time to binge eat. Like, could you not have held on for a few more minutes? And he was like,
To be fair, I ate a
they're all
cookie.
gone. Like, watching. The bag's fucking empty. He ate the whole bag whilst we were in the middle of like doing curls. And then he walked on stage and his like stomach was so distended. It was unbelievable.
I did have a cookie before I went on stage, but I.
Mate, one is not going to kill you.
That was when I won my
5.
pro card, so it kind of did.
Yeah, but you were shredded, mate. He was still soft.
So similarly, I've been backstage before, and it's always, again, no hate towards bikini girls. It's always the bikini girls. They've got like bottles of wine. They've got a whole fucking cake out. They've got the spoons. They're shoveling it in. They're drinking the wine, necking it down. What do you want? I'm
You
like,
need
no,
to come up and dry out.
I'm like, no, I've been dieting for like 20 weeks. I'm not going to fuck it up before 5 minutes before I go on stage. But they're like shoving
Not
it.
just that,
there's
but he
plenty of times
absolutely
plenty of
savaged
times
in your
we actually
routine.
win.
They were.
Yeah, you go out for your routine and you've got like frosted ice.
And
Who's done hair makeup? That's a bit shit.
there was another girl at one of the shows, the local show I did in Plymouth. It is what it is, but this is years ago. And she literally, so she must have been using insulin because she was like, yeah, my coach just said do this. She had a bottle, like litre and a half, 2 litre bottle of full fat Coke, right? And she's down in this before she's going on stage. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Fizzy drink as well, right?
Yes, and she just went, what? Like, and bloated out. She lost all control of her midsection, but I just couldn't believe it. I was like, a litre and a half of Coke.
Oh.
That's a new one. That's a new one.
I've seen someone eating crisps backstage. That's a good one.
Oh yeah, but like a handful of like salted crisps.
They
and
weren't,
probably
they weren't even
some
like
sodium
salted.
into-
They were like Doritos chili heat wave or something.
like some salt and vinegar crisps, right, with a bit of extra
Yeah,
salt
that,
sprinkled on.
I've
Yeah.
heard.
That's doable. That's right. We did salted rice cakes right before you went on. That I understand that, but Doritos
I've seen that before. Yeah.
amazing.
Just there of a tip as well, like.
Sorry,
You want a crisp? Get ready for
That's got to be the
it.
clickbait.
Yeah.
Secret to stage success. Chili heat
there we go,
Doritos.
and that's it. And that's what we got from this.
Sorry.
Sorry, the other one. So obviously there was that. Then the stupid thing that I did, I took two Moduretics, which are not diazide. Full warning here for anyone who thinks that they are, but not. I took 2 of them the night before one of my shows. Woke up in the middle of the night, dry as fuck, looked amazing. If I had gone on stage then, probably wouldn't have placed dead last. By the morning, oh my God, looked like utter shit. Trying to pump up backstage, I'm like, I just can't get a pump. I just don't know what's up, but no wonder why I can't get a pump, because I haven't been pissing like a bloody racehorse for the past however long. I was so flat.
Was your mouth claggy?
Yeah.
Oh, I felt like crap. I felt so bad. Yeah.
Oh,
So I did that. So obviously 5 cookies right before stage, or Doritos chili heat wave before stage. Not a great idea. 2 whole moduletics, not even broken down into halves, just 2 whole ones. That's probably not a great idea as well. Trying to think of what else was. What was the tanning one that the dude did? Do you know Dream Tan? You know how Dream Tan works?
Yeah.
So obviously you go from either 0, like no tan whatsoever, to Dream Tan, because you're doing multiple shows and you don't want to have like a stain tan. Yeah. Or if you're just doing sort of one, then you have like a base tan of like Pro Tan, and then you put Dream Tan on top. So you would go quite light with the Dream Tan, with the Pro Tan normally, and then you put the Dream Tan on, so you pat it on, or you get a roller and you do that. You have people do it for you, right? So this person had got Dream Tan on and then decided to put glaze on top of that. And what that does is, baby oil or anything like that, what that will do to Dream Tan is it takes it off. So he's put the glaze on and he started doing that, and the tan's just gone from him. So he's got nothing. So he's now like, oh my God, what the hell? And it's just wiped off all of the tan. So he's patched up, like all over the place. And then I said to him, I was like, just get a towel and dab it off and then redo the Dream Tan. So he's there, like literally, it's like 2 minutes before stage. Can you imagine being this stressed out, right? So his mate's there, like drying him off with a towel, gets the Dream Tan, slots more on, and puts and tries to do that. It looked shit on stage, but at least it was better than what it was like previously.
What is it? Is it like a paste?
It's like
it looks like boot polish. It looks like boot polish.
I'm not sure if that's what they used in Poland. Because literally,
you're not allowed to use it in IFBB.
It was something, because there was no tanning the night before. It was literally before you went on stage. And that was kind of interesting to get your head around, because there was no separation of the sexes. So literally just stood there with a load of pro men like, oh, at least you've got a sock, mate. I've got nothing.
It's like, I've used Dream Tan for like NABA and stuff like that, so you can get like a gold one or like a red tinted one. And it's like, it takes ages.
For the Dream Tan, yeah. So it's the red bronze or it's the golden brown, yeah.
Yeah, I went for the gold. Sorry?
The gold one's really bright.
Yeah, I mean, a light hits you. I mean, imagine it on me as well. I'm already translucent. It's like,
did you wear it? Did you use it?
I used it in NABA, yeah.
No way!
Yeah,
Did you look like platinum?
No, I actually looked all right, because I got my partner to put it on at the time. Like Tom said, you have to put it on. You can't smart it. You have to dab, and it takes ages to do. Yeah. And like, you got to get all the nooks and crannies and stuff. And then like, if you leave it,
you'd be surprised. Because I've had Mish, my wife, do it for me before, and it looked the bollocks. So when I compete again, she's definitely there. I'm like, right, come on, you're coming backstage.
But you're not allowed you're not allowed to use it in IFBB, are you? I think I used it in NABA.
No, so you can still use it in there, but they don't like it, and they will mark you down for it. Yes, if it's obvious. Okay, if it's obvious. So I know there was a chap who won his pro card recently who was wearing it, right? But what you did was he had base tan of like Pro Tan stuff, then he'd put a very thin layer of Dream Tan on, and then they got the foam stuff, like the Pro Tan foam stuff. Yeah. They waited till the Dream Tan had completely dried, and then they got the foam stuff and went over it just to take away some of the glisten. So
it just gives good coverage, doesn't it? The Dream Tan.
So it's just really good. I like the look of it. When it's on the right lighting, it looks really, really nice when it's done properly. I don't like the golden one. The red bronze one's really good. The gold one looks good on black guys. The gold one looks good on black guys, but that's it. Yeah. So don't throw baby oil on top of your Dream Tan. That's
the you need like the tattoo cover up they did in Hungary.
Oh yeah, I do.
They put like this terracotta. I was sat there and I was like just looking at my arm like, this looks horrendous. So they do like the stage makeup terracotta, and then they go over the top with some actual tanned sort of stage makeup.
I need so many layers. Literally, I'll go in for a base tan and they'll do one spray. I'm like, I said I need another 2 at least. And then they do 2. And then on the day, I'll probably have another 3. I'm still fucking pale. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So Tom's like in check-ins. He's like, Deb, you need to get a tan, mate. He's like...
just be a bikini.
You can do the Milano tan. Yeah, blinded by the light.
Yeah, I'm on the sunbeds now.
Switch your ring light off, Debs.
No. This is warm. This is the warm one. I've not put the white one on because it just...
I mean, in your check-ins.
I don't use ring light anymore. I just use natural light. I just natural.
Too bright.
Still too bright.
Too bright. Otherwise, I'm doing this. Like, Devin, you sent me the photo.
You see her vertebrae through a check-in photo.
All I see is blinding light.
That's why I said to you, like, you need to see me in person because the photos.
Yeah. And when I saw you in person, I was like, oh, you actually look like really good.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God.
I can actually really see the shape of everything now. So.
Yeah, I don't know what happens there. It just seems to. And I've got a new phone as well, so I thought it would clear it up. But obviously,
Yeah, but Sara, you're pretty paired as well.
Oh, yeah.
You managed to. But you managed to find some good lighting.
It's a ring light. It's got like what Debs has at the moment, and we just turn it on and then just turn it right down, and it seems to work well. But when I did the British with my tan, the base, we did way too much for the base layer, so it kind of went a bit muddy, and it wasn't nearly as nice a colour. So I don't know whether you've had that happen before, Debs, but I think we did
too cream tan,
and then
cream tan,
pro tan, yeah.
Oh,
I tend to do a couple of pre-tan layers before I go and get spray tanned. I was there in Poland with a blooming spatula with the pro tan mitt on it, trying to do my back because I went on my own.
See, I was looking at the tanning for the Legion Sports Festival, and you can have they have like a 1 package, 2 package, 3 package, so you can have just one layer the morning of the show, or one the night before and then one in the morning, or you can have like two of the night before, 2 of the morning. It's like so much more complicated than just being like, okay, I just want one. I don't know why.
Tanning.
Yeah, I just want
just tanning.
And then there's split between like NPC and then IFBB Masters. So you're like, do you know what I mean? It's just
you don't know where you don't know where you're going. Who's doing your makeup in thing?
I don't actually know. I need to probably the just to promote the show. Because that's what Rhea said, was to just get everyone to do or get everything done by the show.
Yeah,
just
for
easier,
sure.
Innit?
Which one's first? That one or
Nevada? Yeah.
Nevada first. That's first.
Yes. Woo!
I've got Romania weekend off.
Yeah, I'm going to look at.
Yes, me and Tom were talking about that the other day, actually.
Pre-show podcast.
yeah,
While she's just like either falling asleep or completely calmed out of her.
I'll be in off season then, though, right? Won't I?
Yeah.
I'll literally be like withered away by that point. I'm like, I need a card.
You'll have got your card. We'll have either got it at the Brits or got it at the ones after if we go abroad, and then that'll be that.
That'd be sick.
We can be fat together.
Yeah.
I'm actually like this big.
I'm actually looking forward to having like a really long off season and just like putting some muscle on, because like I did at one point after like last year I did pull back on my training a bit because I was just like, oh my, like that misconception. Sorry, I know you need to go, Tom, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to take all this like gear to get this size, this, and I had loads of people pumping my head just full of crap.
Yeah,
and then I was like,
don't get too big.
I wasn't training as a women's physique competitor. I was literally just training as like figure, which sounds silly, but obviously the training is different, right? So if I have a proper full off season with you, Tom, I think I can put on. I
think so too, and I think it'd be very. I think in the future, I think give it another. Let's put 3 years. I think it'll be a very competitive pro. I would say.
This question, Tom. I've heard recently a lot of like figure girls don't train chest. Is that a thing?
Do a bit if you enjoy it. Do it. You're not going to get marked down for it.
I had mine taken out last year when I was being prepped for figure originally. I'd always trained chest. I was so strong on chest. Like I was doing dips with like 50 kilos, right? Like really, and I was so strong. Had it taken out, and like it messed everything up. Like almost my posture went a little bit.
I think that's a posture thing as well. You've got to have, so if you have muscle everywhere, you have to have some chest muscle.
Yeah, I felt like I was obviously like rounding forward a little bit, so I didn't have that alignment and like that musculature holding me up, and like it just I felt, it sounds silly, but I felt depressed. I was like, I love training chest, and I was like, this is.
I don't ever take it out.
No, Tom's not taking it out. No, but. My previous coach did take it out, and I was just like, "What the fuck?" I was like,
to be fair, I never trained chest until I joined working with you, Tom.
Oh, okay.
I train it like if I train with some of the lads, and they're like, "Oh, we're training push today, and it's chest. There's a bit of chest in there." I'd do it then, but it was never programmed, nor was arms.
So that's again. So like Sara, I don't know if you had the question. Sara said,
"Sara's face."
Sarah said,
It makes me so angry. Why would you not, like Dev said, and Tom, it's a postural thing. Like, if you don't train chest, it's going to be shortened and weak. You know what I mean? Like, that's just basic anatomical knowledge. Like, especially if you're at a job like Romana's, where you're over a desk. If you're not training chest, you're just going to be in this position in a weakened, like injury-prone position. Because if you go and then train chest, and say you're training with someone who doesn't really know the risks that your shoulders are in this position, you're just going to snap something. And I just don't understand why coaches wouldn't have everything, even if it's in, but you're doing like 2-3 set like exercises and that's it. But I just don't understand. It's basic fundamental knowledge that you should be training everybody.
The answer was you don't need chest for figure.
There's like the aesthetics of it as well. Like you get like such a nice tie-in, don't you? Like with the front delt into the chest and stuff. Like I could literally.
I think you need some for sure, especially if you're hitting side chest poses.
Yeah, and I lost that. Like this used to like. Well, it's come back now. Still think it was more before, but like that was just years and years and years of training, and it literally just looked like I had a delt and then like a concavement, and then I was just like, this looks awful, and I was just like,
You could see my ribs in my chest.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
But now...
They're there somewhere, I think.
I've got muscle things now.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Before I introduce you, do shoot off, because I do have to shoot at some point, because I have 4 more check-ins to do. What was Thingy like the other night, Sarah?
What was that?
Doctor Strange.
Oh, it was very good. It was very good. As someone who's not really into Marvel, I had people have to explain a few things to me. Have you seen it yet?
No, I'm going in a few hours.
Very good. Who are you going with? Are you going on your own?
With wifey.
Oh,
I might go on my own. I haven't been to the cinema for ages, and Ruby's not allowed.
Oh, just hide her in your bag.
I'll go with you, Romana. I'll just scrape some dust out from under the chair and eat that.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it. It's very good. Very good.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you very much, ladies, anyway, for
Thank you very much for
coming.
Yeah.
No worries. I'm looking forward to listening to the next one as well. I believe you've got some good guests lined up.
We've also got the potential for another one that came through this morning.
Oh, it's been mentioned.
It's been mentioned.
Yeah.
I woke up and I was
Interesting. This is good. I really like this. I like that you guys are doing this.
Just Ruby with that scream.
Oh, no, thank you for coming on and giving us,
you.
Your insight into what the bigger girls industry is and
the big girls. That's what you should have called this podcast.
We're women.
Yeah, we're women.
The big girls.
Yeah.
Big girls.
The big ladies.
Yeah.
That sounds weird. That's weird.
What big
Right,
ladies?
see you soon, guys. Yeah, that sounds like it's calling it boobs. It's like talking about boobs.
The Tits podcast.
That's what we should have had.
Right, make sure you've got the Doritos as the thingy.
Oh yeah.
We'll put that.
The secret.
I'm really sad. Just before you go, I was going to try and rush and get your head printed out, so it was just here, like a close-up of your head, but I ran out of time.
No, hooray.
Huh?
Just
So, please.
We'll make sure it's in the next one. Don't worry.
Sorry, Dad.
I said we'll make sure it's in the next one. Don't worry. You'll put.
yeah,
I
for
can
sure.
edit in your
it in the thumbnail.
like that.
Not yet.
You spotted your
What
head
was
in the thumbnail.
My head in the thumbnail. Oh no, I'm gonna have to look. All right,
It's on the Instagram page. Yeah.
right. I will see you guys soon.
Right. We'll let you go, Tom. I'll
enjoy your stream.
Bye.
Right, then there were 3.